Given that this is my first online lecture series, my methodology is fluid. In terms of composition, I have decided to read each book twice before lecturing and only consult secondary material when a thinker is entirely incomprehensible. Schiller is difficult, but not so difficult that I felt the need to hit the panic button. Also, I want to go into these texts with unprejudiced eyes. Commentators on a thinker can often project phantoms and agendas. And yes, I grasp the irony of telling you to have measured skepticism towards secondary material. Secondly, I'm not going to dwell too long on historical prologue. That's what Wikipedia is for. Here's what you need to know. Schiller wrote all kinds of things in addition to philosophy treatises. In fact, he might be better known as a literary figure. Also, Goethe was his home slice. That's cool. Alright, on with it. On the Aesthetic Education of Man is composed of 27 letters. In the first one, Schiller announces he will reveal his findings on art and beauty. He suspects beauty to be deeply intertwined with our happiness and our moral nature, though he will not draw that connection here in the first letter. In this first letter, Schiller wants to say something of his methodology, humbly acknowledge a limitation to his philosophical thinking, communicate the care he has for this project, confess his theoretical commitments, and speculate on how philosophical thinking frequently operates in regards to moral and aesthetic thinking. That's a lot to cover in 2 pages. Let us go down this list. Schiller alerts us that his endeavor will not be pure theory. He knows that if he is going to effectively account for beauty, he must appeal to the feelings within our breasts and the concepts within our understanding. Secondly, Schiller brings to our attention that he is not widely schooled in philosophical jargon. Let us hope that he will spare us from as much of it as possible. We shall see if his lack of education on these matters and his practices line up. Thirdly, Schiller is very reverential of this opportunity to freely discuss beauty and plans to cautiously treat his subject matter. He then confesses this exploration is largely based on Kantian principles. Schiller is unclear here in this first letter if the principles he is working off of are Kant's moral principles or aesthetic ones, or both. We will only know for certain as we progress. We might have reason to think that he means Kant's moral principles, for he uses Kant's moral philosophy as an example of the difficulties involved in doing and communicating philosophical work. He claims that if you get rid of all Kant's technical jargon, then all of humanity will agree with Kant, and only the professional philosophy caste will be left to nitpick Kant's ideas. Schiller is not decrying technical jargon entirely, for he knows that jargon was essential to reveal moral truth to our understanding. This is a fascinating point that Schiller makes about the nature of philosophical inquiry. Philosophical technique and terminology reveals something to our understanding, while simultaneously obscuring it from our inner sense. The philosopher's understanding must destroy and vivisect appearance so as to assemble an abstract notion. This is why, Schiller claims, the works of Kant and others cannot be recognized as true by our natural feeling. Understanding this tension in philosophical work, Schiller wants to be very careful so as not to annihilate what we know in our heart to be true about the nature of beauty. My name is Luke Johnson. Follow along with me as I build my first online lecture series. If you would like to discuss this book with me or hire me to perfect your writing, contact me at 703-727-2184. 703-727-2184 or philosophyluke@gmail.com. All money I make from these endeavors goes towards the construction of my online philosophy platform. Thank you for listening.